Star one.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gary Herman. I'm the CEO of the ITA, and welcome this afternoon to our webinar on how to grow your business by hiring apprentices. I have a couple of folks joining me today and participating in the webinar. Chris Clark is one of our apprenticeship advisors. She looks after the area of Vancouver, Richmond, and South Delta. And we also have Rick Gibbs, who's the co-founder and president of Neutron Factory Works, and also the chair of our manufacturing sector advisory group. Neutron Factory Works is also a great champion of apprenticeship, so it's awesome to have Rick here with us as an employer sponsor. So an overview, today we're going to be talking about ITA and apprenticeship, attracting and retaining apprentices, hiring youth. Rick's going to share Neutron Factory Works and why they hire apprentices. We'll give some examples of some other employer champions as well. Talk a bit about the apprenticeship pathway, identify some tools and resources you can use, and then we'll take some questions. So just to let you know, that everyone on the line is muted, and we'll have time at the end of the webinar for questions. You can type your questions right in the chat box as it's shown on the screen on the GoToMeeting platform, and we'll try to answer some of them live and then respond to the rest by email. Okay, here we go. One of the early changes we made at ITA was to update our vision and mission. And like many organizations, we felt that our vision and mission were too long-winded and not as laser-focused as they needed to be. So we worked on how to make them simple, focused, and effective. ITA's vision is world-class apprenticeship for British Columbians. And our mission is to build the trades that build BC. Very simple, very direct. Now, in order to build a world-class apprenticeship system, your input and feedback is crucial. The foundation of BC's trades training and certification system is based on collaborative partnerships. More British Columbians are retiring from the skilled trades workforce than entering it over the next decade. And ITA is committed to working with stakeholders like you to ensure BC is able to respond effectively to the changing labor market needs and to ensure that we're able to put British Columbians first in line for future job opportunities. ITA is here to serve industry. So what's our responsibility? Well, we're a provincial crown agency that leads and coordinates BC's skilled trades system. We govern and manage the province's industry trades training and certification system on behalf of the BC government. We work with employers, employees, industry, labor, training providers, and government to do mainly four things. We issue credentials, we manage apprenticeships, working with the employer sponsors and the apprentices throughout the journey. We set the program standards, working with our colleagues across Canada to make sure that we're working to Red Seal occupational standards and national occupational analyses. And then we provide funding for apprenticeship and pre-apprenticeship programs. So we provide the funding to all of the training providers. What we need to do is increase opportunities in the trades to help meet the demands of the BC labor market and play a key role in implementing the BC Skills for Jobs Blueprint. The blueprint, if you haven't seen it yet, provides information on aligning training to in-demand jobs. It helps develop a seamless plan from high school through post-secondary and into the workforce. So a snapshot of trades training in BC. There are over 100 certified trades in British Columbia. 50 of those are Red Seal trades. The full list can be found on our website. In 2016-17, nearly $72 million will be distributed to the training providers in BC. The government has provided an additional $7.8 million for youth programs over the next 3 years, then $3 million a year ongoing after that. And ITA currently funds 14 public post-secondaries, plus 24 non-public training providers, including union training schools and a couple of for-profit training schools. We currently have more than 37,000 apprentices in BC, plus 1,500 high school pre-apprentices, and 10,000 plus employer sponsors that hire apprentices in the province. In 2015-16, we issued over 7,600 certificates of qualification and red seals. There's a growing interest in trades careers in BC, and 7,900 credentials are forecasted for the current fiscal year. Now, one of the main themes for today is why hire apprentices. And really, there are 6 reasons to hire and train your own apprentices. First is to recruit talented workers. With the latest knowledge of the trade, your apprentices help make your business work better. Second is meeting the demand. Sponsoring an apprentice is a key way for employers to guarantee skilled, prepared workers to meet their labor demands. There's also a financial advantage. For every dollar an employer invests in training, they receive an average return on investment of $1.47, according to the Canadian Apprenticeship Foundation. The BC government is also extending its training tax credit program to 2017, giving employers who hire apprentices refundable tax credits and providing apprentices with personal income tax credits. In many cases, employers with apprentices enjoy higher sales and profits. Next is about fitting the mold. Apprentices learn your business first. That means that they learn the way you do things and the unique, specialized skills that serve your business best. A journey person who's done their apprenticeship with your organization will be a better fit and will build good relationships with your customers. Succession planning. This is always high on my list. With so many baby boomers retiring from the workforce, sponsoring apprentices can help ensure that you build a workforce to carry on your legacy and your company's legacy. Apprenticeship is a tried and true method of recruiting and maintaining talent. That's why it's been around since the Middle Ages. By investing in an apprentice, companies will invest in you and in your business, potentially creating a lifelong employee who can move into many positions and many different roles in your company. And finally, it's about pride in the next generation. There's nothing more rewarding than being able to pass down your knowledge to help the growth of the next generation of tradespeople. This is also a hallmark of the apprenticeship way of learning. You start as an apprentice, you learn, you apply many of the things throughout your career, and you give back and mentor the next generation coming in to make them successful and carry on. So in the area of attracting, training, and retaining apprentices, some tips on attracting apprentices. Diversifying your workforce. The larger your pool of qualified candidates, the better chance you have of finding the right people with the right skills at the right time. Consistent hiring practices are also very important. They will help you find the best fit for your business and therefore build a loyal and dedicated workforce. So after you've successfully hired your apprentices, now you need to retain them. Some of the best ways of retaining apprentices are to offer safe and welcoming workforces and workplaces, adaptable communication styles, family-friendly policies, consistent job expectations, and then check in and follow up regularly. One of the best kept secrets of success in the apprenticeship system is to hire youth apprentices. In 2016, ITA, combined with the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Jobs, Tourism and Skills Training, refreshed and expanded our youth trades training program. We now have 4 specific areas. Youth. Youth is meant to Discover. Discover is meant to spark interest in trades as early as grade 5. There are 3 programs: Youth Discover the Trades, Youth Discover the Maker Way, and Youth Discover Lions in the House, where the BC Lions come around and visit many of the schools in the province. Next is Explore, which enables students to try out different trades. These programs are the Youth Explore Trade Skills and a new Youth Explore Trade Sampler, which is more in-depth teaching than the Youth Explore Trade Skills. So the Explore Trade Skills is a 120-hour program where students get to try out approximately 3 trades, some cases 4, to give them a little taste. Next, the trade sampler is a 300-hour version of the same thing, where again it allows them to get more in-depth and more exposure to a variety of trades. Next is train. This is a dual credit technical training that's taken well in high school. This is formerly known as our ACET program. And students receive dual credit for both their high school dogwood and their first level of technical training and apprenticeship. And finally is work, which is also a dual credit work experience in high school where they actually work with an employer and receive pay and again get dual credit for their high school dogwood while they're getting credit towards apprenticeship hours. This was formerly our secondary school apprenticeship or SSA program. There are two streams into apprenticeship training. First is direct entry, where as an employer you hire people off the street, and in many cases they're hired as shop labor people, where you'll put them to work, you'll check their attitude, their aptitude, their work ethic, with the promise of if they make the grade, you will enroll them into an apprenticeship down the road. The second way, which some employers prefer, is that they're hired after they have completed a foundation or pre-apprenticeship program. These programs are run in post-secondary schools and run from 6 to 8 months in length and also include level 1 technical training. So to find out where you can offer those, you can go to Trades Training BC or Education Planner BC, and there's a screenshot example of one of the carpenter programs that's being offered. Now I'll pass it over to Rick Gibbs, again one of our employer champions, co-founder and president of Neutron Factory Works, to share his story of finding success with apprentices. Rick?
Thanks, Gary, and I guess first up I'd like to thank Gary and his team for inviting Neutron to participate in this. As a tradesman myself, I know how challenging it can be to find a sponsor when you're an apprentice, and I think anything we can do to get more companies to indenture apprentices is only going to give a lot of benefit to our economy as a whole. Educating and mentoring our future generations is really critical in sustaining a robust economy as I see it. And no matter what it is we are doing, we can always find ways to improve. And when it comes to apprentices and trades, I found getting involved is a great way to help that mission, and that's why I'm here today. I guess there's really 6 areas which Gary's stolen my thunder a little bit. He's outlined them. But Neutron Factory Works, we work in all kinds of different manufacturing environments and factories. And bringing apprentices on allows us to train our staff to do specifically the type of work we do. So it's less generic. It's quite specific to a lot of these facilities. There's a lot of different types of environments we go into. Ones where there's a lot of safety challenges to places, aerospace, where you can eat off the floor, and it's having apprentices exposed to that at a younger age really does help shape them to be well-versed and well-groomed in working in any of these areas. Safety is huge, and I think we've all seen a big push over the last decade or so to improve safety conditions for everybody. But statistically, it's younger people that generally get hurt, and I think it's our responsibility as employers to do everything we can to prevent that. And again, by bringing apprentices into our company, we're able to train them and expose them into environments that they might not otherwise have the opportunity to work in, and specifically train them on the safety associated with that. If I talk about metal foundries, you have molten metal and big furnaces with a lot of electricity and what have you. Very specific training. So it allows us within the safety side of things to train apprentices for those environments. Something I've noticed as I've gotten a bit older is technology. As much as I sell it, my company sells it and what we do, I'm often blown away with what I see younger people using to communicate to learn, to do a lot of things with, and I think it's pretty important that we connect ourselves with that generation, and it's almost a benefit for the, well, it is a benefit for the employer to understand exactly how younger generations are learning and how they're communicating, because it applies when we're out in the field in these factories, and the way machinery and equipment and systems are networked together. So it's very much real-time training, and again, training younger people generally to function in a positive way inside these environments. You know, as a company, any organization, employee retention is huge. Nobody wants turnover, and as an employer, having a good, solid apprenticeship program is a great way to not only attract young talent, but also to retain it. And within that, we do quite a few things to inspire our staff, not only to finish one ticket, but we have a couple of people working on their third tickets, and we have quite a few dual ticketed trades. And we want to incent them to do that, because in today's world of automation and manufacturing, it's very difficult to just be one thing at times. And quite often you need to know a lot of things. A huge one that Gary touched on as well is succession. You know, if I look across the trades, there's some where I see there's, you know, various ages throughout the trade, but there's others where I identify a very large gap between younger apprentices getting involved and the masters of that trade. You know, I think it's really important that we bridge that generational gap. We really do learn from each other, and I've seen it with some of my older staff. As a mentor, we often learn a lot from the people we're mentoring, and whether that's, you know, some of the things I touched on earlier with communications, how we communicate today, technology, and a really important part of this, and you hear it a lot, are younger people's values today are quite different than a generation or two ago. And it's important that we understand what those are, whether or not as older people we agree with them. They're real, and the better we are as an employer, as an organization, to understand those values, the better job we're going to do of attracting and retaining younger people. And I'd also ask my CFO for some notes from a financial perspective as an organization. The federal apprenticeship job creation tax credits provides employers with up to $2,000 for each apprentice in the first 2 years of the trade. There's BC training tax credits, again, that provide up to $2,000 and $3,000 for an apprentice that completes their level 3 and 4. There's also federal job grants. So from my own, you know, my own perspective, being an apprentice myself, I'm a journeyman electrician. I can't think of anything more important to my organization and many of my friends who are contractors to continually be doing everything we can as employers, not only to attract apprentices, but to get involved with the ITA, to give feedback, to address areas in the system. No system's perfect, where we can work together to overcome some of the challenges that are out there. But yeah, it's very important as an employer, specifically to me, that we have an environment that we can bring young people in, train them well, and show them that they have a career in front of them. I have a lot of people in my company that make a lot of money working in the city with weekends off. It's not a situation where you need to be on a camp and don't see your family for 6 months. There's a lot of great opportunity here locally, and it's really just about finding the heads, the bodies, the people that want to get involved with this. And again, just being involved with this is a great way to kind of get that message out. Yeah, I guess that's kind of it in a nutshell. I don't know if there's anything else you'd like me to share. I have approximately 9 apprentices indentured right now as Neutron in various trades. And we employ electricians, refrigeration mechanics, welders, fabricators, millwrights, and then we have other, we have PLC programming and automation, things that fall outside the apprenticeship program. But it's very key. I would suggest 90% of our staff are trades oriented.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing your excellent experience with us, Rick. And what I glean out of that is the apprenticeship system, and again, starting with yourself as a former apprentice like myself, it's gone a long way to creating the success that Neutron Factory Works currently has. So thank you again for sharing that with us. A couple of more employer champions that I'll just touch on here that we've visited. Solid Rock Steel. So you ask what's it take to deliver cutting-edge expertise and innovative designs? If you ask Peter Stunenberg, Solid Rock Steel, he'll tell you one good place to start is sponsoring apprentices. The company's been in business for 50 years, and in that time had developed a winning apprenticeship program that helps build on their long-term success. Solid Rock currently has 3 metal fabricator apprentices, plus an additional 8 journey people that have completed their apprenticeship with them that have made further career advancements within the company. This speaks to how nurturing and training apprentices turns into loyal and engaged workforce. Another one we'll touch on here is Timber Peak Construction. Rob Trampo started it 8 years ago in Smithers with 1 apprentice. Provides a range of services from new design builds, home renovations to commercial projects. Rob feels apprentices are the lifeblood of the organization because they offer those new ideas, and Rick touched on this as well, new tool suggestions and different perspectives on how to look at each project. Timber Peak currently has 4 apprentices, including painter decorators, carpenters, and residential framing technicians, plus 4, again, who have completed their apprenticeship and are still working well and successfully. So now we have a poll to share with you, just to get an idea of how many employers out there are thinking about hiring apprentices right now. So the poll is open, and the directions are on your screen. Okay, so it's great to see that some of you are thinking about apprenticeship and hiring an apprentice soon, and we're glad that you joined us today. Hopefully, we'll be able to provide you with the information you need to take the next step and give the apprentices a chance. Now we're going to talk about the apprenticeship pathway. So I'm going to turn it over to Chris Clark, our apprenticeship advisor, to go over some of the supports and resources that are available to employers that are currently training, or thinking about hiring and training apprentices. Chris, over to you.
Thanks, Gary. Hi, everyone. I'm the apprenticeship advisor for Vancouver, Richmond, and South Delta. There are 15 advisors across the province in communities. 5 of us are Aboriginal, 5 of us have Red Seal certification, and all of us are experienced educators and counselors. We work within our communities with all the stakeholders, including school districts and post-secondary trainers, but our focus really is on supporting employers and apprentices. You can find your local advisor on the ITA homepage. The apprenticeship pathway includes 6 steps to success. Step 1 is workplace orientation and developing a training plan. Step 2 is registering the apprenticeship with your employee. Step 3 is tracking and reporting their work-based training hours with you. Step 4, review and confirm documentation as it comes up with your apprentice. Step 5 is releasing them for their technical training, and step 6 is recommending them for certification. And I'll go through these in a little bit more detail with you now. Every trade training program requires a combination of hours, working hours, and schooling that needs to be achieved. Each trade has a different amount of work-based training hours and levels of schooling required. You can find out specifics about a trade on the trade's program profile, which is also on the ITA website. Typically, school blocks run somewhere between 4 and 8 weeks per level, and there's lots of flexibility when this technical training happens. Apprentices will research course availability and agree with their employer when is the best time to go in order to avoid busy times for you and to make sure that the apprentice is financially ready to go to school. Training providers typically schedule programs to accommodate the industries as best as they can. So for example, culinary training happens between January and March typically. Everything from registering your apprentice to submitting work-based training hours can be done through your ITA account online. Once you've registered with an apprentice, you'll be able to track their progress in terms of school marks and how many hours they've accumulated, what level they're at. Any notifications that are sent to you by ITA by email will also be held here. So if you want to have a look at them or print them out, they're always on record for you there. And your staff are listed that we can share information with and who are going to be able to sign off on that apprenticeship. The registration with your apprentice is a signed agreement between the employer and the apprentice. It makes your sponsorship of their apprenticeship official. It can be done on the first day. It can be done after a probationary period or at any point at all during employment. When you're registering with your apprentice, it's really a good time to have an in-depth conversation to clarify your mutual expectations. For example, how much notice would you like in order to release them for technical training? How frequently will you submit their work-based training hours? And so on. As you would with any employee, you provide an orientation where, of course, safety is key, and you're clear on who they report to. It's really good to consider their scope of trade for each level. And the scope of trade is available on a document called the Program Outline, again, on the specific trade homepage on the ITA website. And that Program Outline will provide you with a checklist of skills that the apprentices will need exposure to for each level. ITA suggests that work-based training hours are submitted at least twice per year. Some organizations do it with payroll. It really is whatever works best for your organization. As Gary mentioned, employer tax credits are available. For Red Seal trades, you can get up to $2,000 per year, and that's through the Canada Revenue Agency. For BC CFQs, or Certificates of Qualification, there's up to $4,000 for the first 2 years of apprenticeships, and that's administered through the BC government. You can contact Work BC for more information. If your employees are First Nations or people with disability, there may be additional tax credits available. And again, those are administered through Work BC and Assets organizations. Apprentices also have access to special grants, loans, and tax incentives throughout their apprenticeship. Full information on the various incentives administered by other government agencies in terms of who to contact, how to get more information, it's all on the ITA website, and you can see the link there. Schedules for classroom training are also available through ITA, and we link you to Trades Training BC. And on each Trades homepage, you can go directly to that link to view the training provider schedule. It's important to plan so that it works financially for the apprentice, and also so that seats are available, and of course so you can plan for their absence. Usually it involves a short-term layoff. Employers provide an ROE, and apprentices can collect EI during schooling. Employers generally decide how they want to support. Every employer does it differently. Some may, for example, pay for school when they see a passing grade. Others will implement wage increases as they move up a level. Ideally, you want to review the program outline to see what will be covered at each level and what opportunities exist to expose them to those areas at work. When all hours and technical training and exams are achieved, the final step is for the employer sponsor and a journeyman there to sign off on the skills as seen in the job. Essentially, the journeymen are the gatekeepers for the integrity of each trade. By completing this form, you and the supervising journey person are attesting that the apprentice is now working at the skill and competency level of a certified tradesperson. If development gaps exist, develop a clear training plan with the apprentice to address these. Certificates will be sent to you, the employer, for presentation to the apprentice, your new journey person. The website is a great resource for you. Any questions, any forms, guidance you need are on the website, including detailed information on financial support, employer guidebooks providing you with a step-by-step process, and best practices for working with women and Aboriginal employees. The Job Match site is operated by WorkBC exclusively for apprenticeship postings. This link can be found through the ITA website, again on each trade home page. Apprenticeship advisors are letting apprentices know when we're in the classroom that employers are increasingly posting here, and we're seeing an increase in the traffic. If you're looking for employees, WorkBC STEP, which stands for Skilled Trade Employment Program, and they deal with the construction trades, are available to you. Organizations like STEP and school districts can also provide great pre-screening support. So you can talk to them and talk about what kind of an individual you're looking at, and they'll let you know who's available in their pool. General questions, again, the website's a great resource. We also have a great team of 12 customer service representatives on the phone all day to answer your questions. And for issues that need more support, of course, there's 15 apprenticeship advisors in the community ready to help as we can. Thanks.
Great. Thanks so much for that, Chris. That was excellent information. Now we're going to move to the questions portion of the webinar. So raise your hand on the GoToWebinar and we'll unmute you, or you can go ahead and type your question in the chat box. And on the panel under questions, you can also download the resource handouts, which include this presentation. So we have a question for Brad that talks about the fact that he's a huge supporter of apprenticeship, but currently he's experiencing wait lists to get into apprentice training on the heavy duty and commercial transport trades. And there's a couple of comments that I'll make here. One is, Brad, if you can email us on any specific issues that you're having currently getting in, then we'll get our customer support folks to look at that to see what we can do to help out. Generally speaking, there are occasionally wait lists around the province. They vary by trade. Typically, where you find the longer wait lists are more in the foundation or the pre-apprenticeship programs than in the actual apprenticeship programs. Remember that the apprenticeship programs, of course, are demand-driven. So if you've gone to level 1, we're hoping you're coming back for level 2, 3, and 4. And typically, if there are additional classes that need to put on, we fund those first. Foundation programs, again, are preparing you for future jobs in apprenticeship. There currently is no direct link from that completing that foundation program into getting a job as an apprentice. Again, as many employers would like you to take that foundation, but they're not already in the system as apprentices. So when you see wait lists, there typically be longer wait lists around the province on the foundation or pre-apprenticeship programs than there are in the actual apprenticeship program. But again, Brad, if there's any specifics you can send us, that would be great, and we can answer that. Are there any other questions? Okay, you can also feel free to email us after this on one of the customer service at ITA BC, and we can answer questions there for you as well. Okay, so we're actually ahead of schedule here, so I just want to say thank you to everyone. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules today to participate in this webinar, and we hope it's provided some more insight on how to grow your business by hiring apprentices. So thanks again, everyone, and we're signing off. Goodbye for now.